Okay, we're live. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm here with Master Sommelier Bobby Stuckey. Bobby, first of all, good afternoon.
Hello.
And welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Peter. Thank you. I'm very excited.
Yeah. For people that don't know me, my name is Petar. I'm one of the founders of MAXA, Macedonian Sommelier Association. And the idea with these interviews that we're doing is to inspire people and first of all, to bring the awareness for the sommelier profession and to inspire people maybe to start their journey in as sommeliers and in hospitality. And I think there's no better person maybe to inspire people than you, Mr. Bobby. Like I said, I watched a lot of your interviews, and I was inspired, and I thought, why not, and give people a chance to hear from you, and hopefully to inspire them to start their journey.
Well, thank you, and I am humbled and honored to be here with you. And thank you so much. Yeah.
Basically, we're going to be talking with you about things that you're passionate about. I know that you're passionate about hospitality. I know that you're passionate about wine and sommelier business, and also about people and people development. So these are all things that we'll be covering during this interview. I think 1 hour will not be enough, but I'll squeeze as much as I can from you.
Okay.
Cool. You ready?
Cool.
Okay.
So ready.
So I introduced you as Robert De Niro, Novak Djokovic, Freddie Mercury for people that don't know you. So basically, you're that for hospitality and sommelier business. If you can just tell us a little bit about you, about your career, and what you're doing at the moment, so people can just get they don't know you to understand who's Bobby Stuckey.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thanks for the platform. Hi, everybody. My name is Bobby Stuckey. I am technically, if you look at my resume, it says I'm a Master Sommelier. It says I'm a restaurateur. It says that I own a wine brand, and those are all a little bit right. But at the core of who I am is I'm a restaurant person. I'm a restaurant employee. I just happen to own the restaurants I work in. And I started bussing tables in August of 1983. Long time ago. I started because I was I don't know if you have the right translation for this, but I was a troubled student. As a kid, I have dyslexia. So dyslexia is you turn your numbers and your letters around and it makes reading hard. So I tried very hard as a student, but I wasn't very good at it. And I started bussing tables in high school and I really liked it. I really felt, oh my gosh, this is something for me. And that's how the journey began. And it's weird. 37 or 38 years later, I am still bussing tables. I will be bussing tables tonight. So through that journey, I became a waiter and then a maitre d' assistant and then a maitre d' and then a sommelier. And I love all parts of it. I think sometimes people attach my wine profession to the highest part of the resume, and I don't. I look at it all as very important, and I look at it all as something I really, really enjoy, and I try to take place in all of those things. So during my career, 25 years ago, I was the wine director at the Little Mel Hotel in Aspen, Colorado. Really great, fun time working that as the wine director. And then that's where my former boss, Thomas Keller and Laura Cunningham of the French Laundry, hired me away to go to Napa Valley and run the wine program for Thomas Keller at the French Laundry. And I really enjoyed that. And I probably could have done that for the rest of my career. I loved working for Thomas. I could still be doing that, but my wife and I and my business partner Lachlan decided we wanted to do our own restaurant. We did that restaurant in Boulder, Colorado, so we could be close to my wife's father. And we've been here for 17 years. This is when we opened Frasca Food and Wine. So that was our first restaurant. It's based on the cuisine and the wines, and the culture of a place not too far from you in northern Macedonia, Friuli Venezia Giulia, which is right over the border for Italy from Slovenia. And that's what we started Frasca. And then 10 years ago, we started a pizzeria next door called Pizzeria Locale. And then the restaurant I'm sitting in right now that I'll work at tonight is called Tavernetta. It's in downtown Denver. And then we have a little wine bar called Sunday Vinyl. My wife, Danette, she's not on the interview. She would have been a much better interview than me. She and I really like listening to vinyl records on Sundays. And so we named the wine bar after my wife and ours Sunday evening ritual. And it's been great. And then also some of the things that I think are really, really important in my work day is I teach for the Master Sommeliers. I like doing that. I also took on a different task this last year with COVID and the closure of restaurants around the country. I was one of the founding members of the Independent Restaurant Coalition, also known as the IRC, and we lobbied here in the United States. We have a couple branches of government. You've got the president, you've got the House of Representatives and the Senate, and we lobbied with the House of Representatives and the Senate to write a bill to help restaurants. Today is a very remarkable day. Today it goes live that people can register for these grants, that the application process will go in on Monday. So it's been a very crazy 14 months and it's very exciting. Do you got me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Cool. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, you gave me a scare.
I think it was the Wi-Fi. I think it was my Wi-Fi over at Tavernetta. So I ran over to Sunday Vinyl.
Okay, cool. So it's close.
Yeah. Here's my wine. Here's the Frasca wine teams over here. Guys, this is sommeliers from Northern Macedonia.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
I love this. You're so relaxed. I'm so tense.
Come on.
Okay, cool. So where did we finish?
I think I had just finished up talking about the Independent Restaurant Coalition.
Okay.
And so that brought us.
Bill passed.
Yes, and it gets the application process starts this week. So it's a big deal for us in the restaurant community in America. The first time that something like that's ever passed for our industry.
Is it like for the first time that people from the hospitality actually got so engaged into politics in a way?
I think so. I think there's definitely, for myself, I had never talked to a congressman or senator before that, other than if they were in the restaurant, me taking an order or serving them food. But for me to,
you mentioned a few times the politicians, but it's okay.
Yeah, but for me to actually, as a restaurant professional, to be in meetings with the Congress, the person or the senator, first time for me, and first time for most of us. There's a couple chefs that have been active before, Jose Andreas, Tom Colicchio from Top Chef. They're very politically active, and so they were able to kind of, especially Tom, kind of mentor us through the process.
Thomas Keller?
No, Thomas Colicchio.
Thomas Colicchio, okay.
Yeah, but Thomas Keller was part of it too, but it was a first time for all of us.
All right, cool. All right, enough about politics. I learned that, with guests, you don't talk about sports, politics, and religion.
Religion, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
For me, I think for all sommeliers or people in hospitality, I think that there's a moment in their career that when they look back, there's a certain point where they understand that actually that was decisive for them to take the route either in hospitality or uh, in the wine or sommelier business. Do you remember? Was there a exact moment for you?
Yes, there was multiple moments because I think being my age, 30 some years ago, it was not a profession in the United States that we thought of respectfully. So, I mean, I remember the first time I really thought it was for me is talking to my grandfather after working Mother's Day brunch. I went over to my grandparents' house to see my grandmother because I had worked as a bus person that day, and telling him how much I loved it, and him saying, Bobby, this is such a hard industry. Be careful. I mean, if you love it, go for it, but it's a lot harder than other industries. So that was kind of my grandfather giving me that heads up. And then I was in college and I was waiting tables. And then after college, I just realized, man, this is something I really, really love. I do want to click in, and then that's where the journey really went as an adult. Okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And back then, it might have been very similar to where you all are now in Northern Macedonia, in the sense there weren't very many wine professional positions. There weren't. Grew up in Arizona. There weren't very many sommelier jobs. I had to take a job in Colorado and move 10 hours away from my family to do that. And that's just what you had to do then. Now, the sommelier profession in the United States is very, very, there's many positions.
Yeah, the SOMM movies and all that.
All that, yeah.
Helped a lot.
It helped a lot. So it was a lot different back then, saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Cool. I just want to come back to the previous thing that you said, that people connect you because you're a master sommelier, and that's a huge thing. But then maybe all these other things get maybe lost a little bit. First of all, the hospitality.
Yeah.
I just want to read something that one of your previous employees wrote about you and the way that you do business, I think, in Frasca. Grant Reynolds.
Yes.
Okay.
Superstar.
So
Great guy.
so he wrote, it's less about how splashy the wine list is or how amazing the food is or wherever, but really how all the things live together. And having wine is a great and important part of it. I get a lot of inspiration from Bobby's devotion to working in restaurants and continuing to work on the floor and interacting with guests. It's not explicitly about wine, but it's about service and being hospitable and taking care of people in a way that's much more holistic, rather than just speaking to them about all the facts about single bottle. I think this explains a lot about the philosophy about not wine service but wine hospitality that you want to
Yes.
preach.
Yes, because service is what you do to somebody. Hospitality is how you make someone feel. And I think sometimes as wine professionals or sommeliers, we miss that really being a wine professional, being on the floor as a sommelier is the biggest opportunity to spread hospitality. Actually, more so than the maitre d', maybe more so than the server, because a server has a section, he has 5 tables, the maitre d' is looking over everything, but a sommelier can do a little bit of maitre d' work, a little bit of sommelier work, a little bit of server work at each moment. So you can touch so many people if you're committed to the act of hospitality. So I think it's really important, and I think it's what we should always be thinking of.
Well, I'll come back to this hospitality part. I have actually a question that my wife told me to ask you, and I think it's a great question. And she was before working in journalism, so she would actually ask a better question than me. But you know, it's what you get. I read a lot of things about you after you worked as a wine director in Little Nell and in French Laundry.
Mm-hmm.
How can you compare, for example, your career before you, let's say, got your first job as a wine director? So your career before that and your career after that, how was the transition, and basically how you developed it as a sommelier before and after working in French Laundry?
Yeah, I think before the French Laundry and before the Little Nell first and then the French Laundry, I was just trying to find my way, find a position to work in. And I was doing whatever building block I needed to do. So I was ready to be a sommelier. I really wanted to be one. I needed to work on my training, and there weren't many positions. So before the Little Nell, I just was trying to make sure I was the strongest restaurant professional possible. Post the French Laundry, when we opened Frasca, it was a whole nother journey. Then it was time to learn how to run a restaurant and take care of all my employees and provide benefits for them and all those things. So before French Laundry and the Little Nell, it was about trying to be a sommelier. And then after that, it was trying to be a sommelier and run a business and all those things. And now 17 years later, where we do that, and I get to work with my team. It's funny. Literally, one table over is the wine team working on something right now, and I can't wait to work with them tonight. You know, they're actually using one of my wife's quotes. I just overheard them. I heard them. They're like, "Yeah, and Danette, this is what she thinks of white Burgundy."
Oh, okay, cool.
Watch this, guys. You guys talk about Danette's quotes over there. I heard. I was trying to focus on my interview, but it was so good hearing that I had to chime in.
Cool. You work with
Yeah.
some, you know, like you're inspiring people now all over the world. There's people that inspired you through your journey and basically influence the way that you see hospitality maybe today. I think one of the persons that you mentioned in few interview was Mr. Chef Thomas Keller. So if you can just give us, you know, like how the experience and the benefits and how important it is to have not just one person, not just maybe Chef Thomas Keller, but in general mentors through your career.
Yes, I find mentorship interesting because it doesn't always have to be in your line of profession. You can find it outside your profession, but someone like Thomas, think like Thomas Keller, Eric Calderon, who is my GM at the Little Nell, and Connie Thornburg, who is my direct boss at the Little Nell. All three of those were very fundamental in getting me to where I am now. What I loved about Thomas Keller was he set a playing field that we all understood. We all knew what the goal was. So even though it was a lot of hours and it was very intense, you knew where you needed to be. You knew where the goal line was at all time. And that's very special that he was able to do that and do it every day. So I find that really very inspirational and very, very lucky that I got to work with him. I also find people outside my profession very inspiring. Maybe the most inspiring person of the last 10 years for me is not someone in the restaurant business. Maybe as far from the restaurant business as possible, But there is an East African marathon runner, Elia Kipchoge, and he is the best of all time. Like there's no one as good as him. He's broken the mythical 2-hour record. He has the world record. He won his first world championship in 2003. So 18 years ago. I mean, he really has had a huge career of greatness, but everything you see from him is so humble and so much about other people. And to be that great and be humble, we all should be. If Elia Kipchoge could be humble, none of us have an excuse not to be humble.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'll ask you along the interview, because I really want to understand that part of being humble in the same time, and then being on top of your profession, how to balance that, because I think sometimes people have it the right balance and then maybe lose it along the way. I don't know.
I think for that, real quick, I think part of it is don't judge yourself. Don't judge you versus the rest of the community or your profession. Just work on yourself and be humble with yourself, and don't try to be ahead or above someone else. Don't look at it that way. Just look at your craft as your craft, and to do that.
Cool. Thank you so much for that. Actually, I think maybe you answered a little bit the next question, but you talk a lot about hospitality, and actually, maybe you're like specializing in it in a way that maybe other people are not talking about hospitality as much as maybe we should. You have your TED Talk about hospitality, which inspired the wine hospitality program that we made here in North Macedonia. So the question is also this humble part, because I see Bobby Stuckey as a master sommelier, but in also a person that's so humble, and a leader that in a natural way inspires people to start their hospitality and sommelier journey. So the question is, did hospitality made you what you are today, or it's just your philosophy that you brought to hospitality?
Well, I think hospitality was not, I just realized how important it is for humanity. And over the years, I would just think about it often and often. And I realized I've never worked in Macedonia, so I can't answer for you all. But for us in the United States, our culture is not about hospitality, because hospitality is always about someone else. It's about looking outside yourself. So it's hard, and that's why it's so humbling. Like, to be good at hospitality, you have to be very humble, because it's not about you ever. And that is something that you've got to work on every day. And it's hard because we're not wired in the United States to be thinking about the other person all the time. So to be good at hospitality, you've got to learn not to think about yourself and think about others. And it's a craft and a journey that you have to do every day. I always joke, and hopefully she's not on Facebook right now watching, but I remember there was a Sunday I was driving to a museum to see a vintage movie with my wife, and a car cut us off. And my wife got very upset with the car who cut us off, and she, pretty much said, "Fuck you," or whatever. And I was like, "Whoa, Danette, that lady in that car's got 5 kids in the car. She's got a lot going on. You got to think about where she's coming from." My wife turned and stared at me and said, "Enough of your hospitality right now." And it's not that my wife is not the most hospitable person I know. but it's hard to do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you really have to be tuned in to do that.
Yeah.
To build up.
Were you always like this? You know, did you always have this philosophy about hospitality, or was that something that was, you know, a result of your experience going through your career and, you know, dealing with the profession, how it was then? And
I think it had to do with, I would watch other people in my industry, and I wanted to be authentic. And sometimes it's hard to be authentic in fine dining. And to do it, you had to be about hospitality. And so I just started probably 20 years ago thinking about it. And then it really has been very important to me for like the last 20 years, at least, maybe more, 25 years, that I've really worked on thinking about how I personally can be better at to others.
cool. I wanted to ask you, like, I heard you talking, like, let's say, for example, people that you hire in your restaurants. You talk about, for example, that you don't hire people based on their resume. I don't know if you read their resumes, but you say that that you hire by spirit. Can you just explain, like, for example, what would be a natural process for you, like when you would hire people?
So we have these characteristics. We have these characteristics, and you know, it can be humility, ambition, intelligence, friendliness, and those are the things we're looking for. Now, someone can walk in with a resume and they've worked at Per Se, French Laundry, 11 Madison Park. They've worked at great restaurants around the world. But if they don't have those characteristics, it doesn't matter what their resume is, because I would rather take someone who's new to our industry and create a environment for them to grow in the craft of hospitality based on their spirit, even if they've never worked a day in the restaurant.
So basically, you would choose rather a humble versus a confident person. I know there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah. 100%. I want someone who wants to engage in our characteristics.
There's a lot of because, for example, the things that we do here in North Macedonia, as a wine educator, is, you know, I go to restaurants and I say, you know, let's educate people about wine. Let's do a course. Let's do a training. And then, you know, one of the main reasons why people, restaurant owners, don't want maybe to invest in their people is, you know, they say, Peter, you know, I'll pay for their education now. In a few months they'll leave. You know, how I know that you don't have the experience here from Macedonia, but how would you answer that question? You know, when people are, you know, it's hard for restaurant owners to keep their staff. They want to invest in them, but, you know, they don't have the security. Are they going to leave in few months?
You know, that is a really, I don't think that's just in Northern Macedonia. I think that is everywhere.
Good.
We deal with this. It's not just Northern Macedonia. We are dealing with this so much right now in the United States. It's very, very hard. There's so much turnover, but I think the best thing to do is to treat every employee with the hopefulness that they will want to stay there for decades and see how the chips lie. Versus, yes, are you going to get burned? Are you going to invest a lot of time in someone and then they're going to go do something else? 100%. But don't get too stressed out about that. Just each day try to create an environment that people want to stay.
Yeah, there's a saying, I think, from Chef Thomas Keller, is I think that he has a quote on the wall in the kitchen or something like that. treat it as it's your own, and one day it will be.
You know, we have that in both the Frasca kitchen and Tavernetta kitchen.
Really? Wow.
Framed up there.
And you know, the young, especially I think young people, when they're, you know, wild and young and unexperienced, are they're seeing that quote and saying, you know, that's a lot of boohoo, or you need to, you know, explain it to them?
Well, I don't know how better to explain it. While you're working as an employee, think as an owner, and you will grow more. If you just think of yourself, you're not going to grow much. Yeah.
You talk about raising through the ranks, and I think that's maybe one of the main reasons, actually one of the main incentives, actually, to when you hire people and to keep them as long as you can. Of course, you cannot have people working for a single restaurant for all their life, but that, you know, ranks that you have in the restaurant, basically you just, you know, for the restaurant staff to have the ability to start, you know, as an expediter or a bar back, and then move through the ranks, and you know, at some point become a sommelier and a general manager of the restaurant. How important is that part of, you know, having the staff motivated to stay in one restaurant?
Oh, it's so powerful. It's so powerful if you can get someone to go. I mean, look, in our organization, my business partner now, his name's Peter Hoagland. He started as a glass polisher. So he has gone all the way to partner. It was funny, last night, he was trying to help a new employee in the glass polishing room. And I had to tell the other employee, I go, you know, Peter has spent more time in this room than anybody in the company. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah. I don't think they knew that he had started there and then become one of the partners. So
cool. There's a lot of I mean, the hospitality part. There's, you know, there's the hospitality part, and I read in the book of Danny Meyer, Setting the Table. His
great book.
Yeah, actually, it was part of a mandatory syllabus for quartermaster sommeliers, and I saw the website a few days ago. It's not there anymore, but still highly recommended for the hospitality.
So good. Yeah, such a good book.
Yeah, and in the book, as I remember, he divides people into in two parts. So it's basically you're either having 49% or 51%, and we're coming back now to the thing that you said. Would you rather hire a humble person versus a confident, you know, how you call them, Michelin mercenary waiters? And he says that for basically people that have 51%, it's the hospitality people. Maybe they have the hospitality, you know, they will do anything when you come to the restaurant to make you feel comfortable. But on the other side, they don't have the experience, they don't have the skills. But this 51% comes natural to them. It's something that I don't know if they learn it or it comes from their house, from, you know, the way that they grow up. The 49%, which is the skills, the technicalities, the knowledge, that's something that you can learn.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's what's so important is if you have someone who's got that 51%, as Danny Meyer says, and you spend the effort, or your general manager or your wine director spends the time with people, they will get those fundamental skills and they'll be a superstar. Versus someone who has all the skills but doesn't have the hospitality, they'll never be a superstar. They can be good, but they'll never be like the greatest.
What about, for example, the court master sommeliers? How was your journey through the court, and how much it helped you, you know, to be better at your job?
Yeah. Well, I did the quartermaster sommeliers because it was I didn't have another path 25 years ago. So it gave me a focus to study. You know, I never wear my pin ever, never worn it on the dining room floor, never once, because my journey was not about the pin. You know, that's what they call in the United States. You've got your MS pin. My journey was never about the pin. It was about the journey of just doing those tasks and doing those tests. And so I think as long as people think about it as just part of the journey and to do it, it'll be more fulfilling and it will be an easier situation. It took me a long time. It took me 6 attempts. And then when I finally passed it, it was funny. I passed and I was like, oh, great. And I said, I love that I went through the journey. I love teaching, but I would never wear my pin tonight at Tavernetta or Frasca because it's not about that.
Cool. Next to, for example, if young people would want, for example, to start their journey working in as a sommelier, what's something that you would recommend for them? You know, to start their, you know, bussing tables first, doing,
Yeah.
I don't know, court.
And I think young people don't like hearing this. I mean, there's like my culture, my generation's culture 25 years ago is we loved mentorship. We thought it was normal to work years to get somewhere. Now in the United States, people want to have their MBA in 18 months. They want this now. They want it now, 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 now. But the craft of hospitality is not something you can just read a book and become that way. You need to have all these nights of repetition and it takes a long time and not everyone wants to hear that. But I think the best thing to do is make sure you work as a busboy through to captain in a fine dining restaurant. So you learn those fundamental skills and it takes a while. So, and then you start layering in the wine professional stuff.
And your work ethic is something that I think it's very unusual for the industry in general. But in the same time, it's very inspiring for people that work with you or for you. You know, people when
With me.
with you.
with me. Even though I sign the checks, no one works for me. We all work together.
There's a lot of people, you know, like, you know, they become master sommeliers and then they move from the floor. They work.
Oh, I love the floor.
Yeah. I know the story because, you know, I heard you saying it many times, but you work 6 days a week, if I'm not wrong, in your restaurants. And actually on one of your talks, you said you talked to your business partner and said, no, I need more time to be on the floor and work with the staff and the guests. I know maybe it comes naturally for you, but you know, can you explain the work ethic that you have, and you know what's that's inspiring you even today to stay 6 days a week, you know, working the floor? Would you
Well,
say,
I don't.
yeah, would you say that it's
Pardon me?
unusual for a master sommelier to be, you know, 6 days a week on the floor?
Yeah, I don't really ask my peers what they think. I just do what I do, and I know that this is what makes me. I like it. Plus, I think my wife is very independent, and she likes me in the dining room, not at home. She only lets me be home on Sundays for some vinyl. No, I'm giving her a hard time, but I love this industry so much. I love it so much. It's not hard. It's not. it's not hard for me to gear up for service. You know, I flew to LA this week. My wife and I flew to LA this week to see my brother and his 3 boys for a couple days, like 3 days. And I was so excited to be on the floor when I got home. It's like, I love it.
Amazing. Really amazing. How much of this of your work ethic, of of this leading by example influences and actually creates the atmosphere that you have in all your restaurant? How does that impact the staff in your restaurants? Because there's a lot of people that say like lead by example, but they're actually not, but you actually are. So I just want to, like to get the feeling how much does your presence influence the staff to be on top of their game?
You know, I don't know, because I've never asked the staff what. I've never asked them, like, hey, do you like that I'm around here all the time? I never asked that, so I've never thought about that. But they all know that we're all on the same team. They all know that I'm there to be on the team with them. You know, and it's my business partner Peter's the same way, because if Rose, the GM, needs an extra day off, she doesn't think twice to say, hey, Peter or Bobby, can you cover for me? She doesn't have to be nervous. She just has to ask, because we're all in it together.
I have a question. I read somewhere that it's called staging. So before, for example, people would come to one of your restaurants and they would get a job. But I read somewhere that there's something that you call staging, and you do it several times during the year, where people actually come, but I'm not sure if they work for
the yeah, people ask all the time. They want to come stage and work a couple shifts and see what we do.
Okay.
Yeah. And we if people like to do that, we invite them. Yeah, they want to come work and just not like really work, but kind of observe what we do. I think people really like to see pre-service and see that. And if people want to come see us, hey, we're here. And there's a lot of young sommeliers that want a blind taste. We're here.
That was not the case, like when you opened, right? I mean, I heard there was one girl that was a wine director from New Orleans. She quit her job just to go staging at Frasca, something like that. What did the philosophy of like staging, was that something from the beginning, or that's something that was basically created along the way?
I think people just, there's not a lot of dining rooms that have master sommeliers on them, so they wanted to come work and do that.
Okay. What would you, for example, advise young Bobby Stuckey, 40 years ago, if you would start everything again? Is there something that you would do differently? Basically, this is a question that, what would you advise young people that are maybe considering a sommelier or hospitality profession?
Two things I would do differently. One, I would have listened to my mom. When my mom told me, when I went to college, I got a degree in US history, but my mom was like, oh, you should get a degree in hotel restaurant management, because the university I went to, Northern Arizona University, which I loved my time there. I feel very lucky to have gone to college there. But had I done hotel restaurant management there, HRM, I think different things would have presented itself. But I was too young and not smart to listen to my mom. And then the other thing is something I developed maybe in my late 20s. I decided not to go out after work. So I don't go out after work. I don't go out to the bar for a beer or whatever. I go home every night. And I started that in my late 20s. And I wish I would have started that from the day I started in the industry, because I think our industry is very, very hard. It's long hours and all these things. And I think it's really important to take care of yourself. And the best way to take care of yourself is to, after work, be calm, get a good night's sleep, be ready for the next day.
Cool. For me, that's all the questions that you have. Do you have maybe any questions for us here, or actually, would you is a sommelier association something that's active in the United States? And
It is, and I think these associations are very important because it helps. Anything that helps get more people into our profession is important. And if that's a way to do it, good stuff.
yeah, thanks so much.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When are you coming to visit?
Whew. When COVID restrictions go down. No, actually,
How is everything in Macedonia? Okay.
no, it's actually we were the restaurant business were locked down for the last 3 weeks. It's very, very challenging. Unfortunately, there's not I would say something that you did with your coalition for the hospitality, and making a plan and all that. That's something that's not on the radar here. I think something that you said, you sat down with the senators and you explained them the heartache that the restaurant business has. I think there's a big gap between what politicians think the hospitality business have and what actually problems they do have, and it's just a big struggle. But
yeah, it's hard. I don't think people. I think even our people in our industry don't understand how hard our industry is. It's very important. I know now forever how much we have to do that.
yeah, it's so versatile. I mean, the hospitality business, it's not something that it's a big misconception. For example, like a few months ago, I sat down with a person that's not in the hospitality industry. He's an engineer. The other guy is in banking, and so they don't understand the heartache of hospitality, especially now with COVID. And
They have no idea.
yeah, and it's just like not having also the perception and understanding the other person, just having your own point of view and not understanding how the other person is thinking or feeling. And they say, you know what, I can open a restaurant, I can work in a restaurant, anyone can do it. And it's just I think that's also one of the big problems, that people just don't understand how challenging hospitality is. And also one thing that, for example, we're doing now there's a new restaurant that's opening in one town here in North Macedonia, and I'm asking the owner what are the challenges that they have with employing staff, and it's just they're afraid of hard work.
Yeah.
So, how they would rather have like a job that's from 8 to 4, 8 hours,
Yeah.
and very relaxed, and having a pay that's the pay is what the pay is for the job, rather than working in hospitality. It's in a way a challenging job, but also exciting, but maybe not everyone it's has that thrill to work in hospitality. You know, so the question is, how would you encourage people, you know, to come and work in hospitality, long hours, you know, weekends, holidays? Is that something?
I would just say, you know, these are all parts of there are parts of the equation. We have different set of hours. They are a little bit longer than other industries, but it is such a fulfilling industry. I invite people to come want to do this with us.
Yeah, I had when I worked on cruise ships, we had this, for example, like comment cards for guests, where we would leave them a few days before they finish the cruise, and you know, just to write a comment. And it was so exciting, you know, just to understand how you made people feel.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. And in United States, I think you guys in United States have great guests, because I can tell you when I worked on cruise ships, we loved working with American guests, because you know they love the hospitality.
They love it. It's awesome. So good. Can't wait for tonight. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. When are you coming to Friuli?
I might. It depends if they let me in. I might go to Friuli very quickly with my business partner next month. But it's
Really?
I don't know if they're going to let us in. We're working on it. We'll see.
Cool. If you're coming to Friuli, let me know, and you know, maybe you can visit also North Macedonia. It's very close, and to taste.
Yeah, it is. I gotta come see it for sure.
Did you ever taste North Macedonian wine?
I haven't. I'd love to.
You never? Okay, cool. The local grape, red grape, which is probably the most famous grape here, is called Vranac. I also heard that there's some Vranac grown in California.
Yeah.
It's really a real powerful stuff. I
Cool.
call Macedonia. There is a blog that was just recently wrote about Macedonia being the Tuscany of on the Balkans.
Uh-huh.
For me, Macedonia is the California of the Balkans, because it's very hot, and you know, 14-15% alcohol wines is, you know, it's not a big deal.
Normal.
It's normal.
Okay, I gotta come. We gotta find, maybe not on this trip, but the next trip I gotta come. I gotta come when my wife's with me.
Yeah, no, you never know. If you're here around, if you have the time, it would be such a honor and pleasure to have you, to host you here. Bobby,
Awesome.
thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
I cannot explain to people, and I apologize if I was a little bit stiff, because I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you, and I hope, and I'm sure there's people here that this interview inspired, and would love the opportunity, if you're near here in Europe, to host here in North Macedonia.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Bob,
you.
and have a great service.
Yeah, you too. Big hugs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.